And another new background, hopefully familiar to you. Oh dear. But if not, it should be familiar to you. At least you might recognize one face in the crowd. And I don't think I need to point him out. Right now, I'm going to show you that. So, I'm going to show you something that you should find amazing. Into this program called Developer Studio, and I'm going to type this here in this box, SET set, and into more. See all these environment variables, a lot of stuff. When I'm running that other program, I don't want these environment variables set because those aren't the normal ones that we get. If I ran that program from here, say, there was a link from the desktop. So I want to get rid of all the ones that I've added. Then I want to run that program, and then I want to restore the back. Now, first thing I want to mention is that these have not changed. I still have all these extra things that I had before. If this ever starts up, oh, I got a warning message. Oh, no issues. Oh, okay. Thank you. Now I'm going to run the program here. It's going to print out all the environment strings that this program has inherited from its parent. Name of that box. You shall notice the distinct lack of certain environment variables. For instance, all these color things and what else? Clean one. That should have been deleted. A bunch of things, terminal services, ID, a bunch of garbage that I put in there that doesn't exist in this nice clean environment that has been created for this program. Now, I've been working on that problem now for about, a day and a half. Not constantly, but every time I try something new, I run into a problem in the software. I should mention that I didn't use any special tools or anything to do that. Just batch files. Now there's a batch file that it gets run when I launch this thing, and that in fact is the one that sets up all those environment variables. What if I ran it again? See, look at all this stuff here. Is it gonna add more stuff to the path? It could, right? I think let's set the path. Actually, I don't need this. I shouldn't need this anymore. See, I used to be saving off all the original path so that I could reset it. So I would say set path equals what it was originally, plus all this other stuff. It isn't really that much. But it does come out to quite a long string. A-E-N-T. Let's see, it didn't change. Nothing changed. It ran through that. And I'm going to get rid of that initial path thing and show you that I don't even need that anymore. Because I've done this. This I did for the same reason, and I might have to run that programming, the batch file again. But now I've done that sort of globally. So I don't need anything called initial path. Not in there. Oh no. Oh dear. You see what I'm saying? Change one thing. de.bat CMOS here. No. Edit is not in the path anymore. But it should have been saved. Oh. You see that? Did you see that? Not a problem. Actually, oh no, did I just change that file? Oh, I just want the initial path file. I'm put you down here. Apparently I need initial path for some reason. I think I deleted it. It's just been one problem after another. Just like this. There's just something that's impossible to perceive. Set path. So that's what I initially had, right? Okay. I don't need this anymore. No, no. I don't think I need it. There we go. Everything's fine. Why? I do not know. Everything looks fine. Okay. Now I should put this in my batch reference. Here's the problem. I want to run this program, and I want to restore the environment to what it was just before I launch this bomb. Okay. So I want to save that environment off, right? Okay. First thing is, how do I do it? In order to save it all, if I haven't run this batch file yet, okay, that would be easy enough. I would just save the current environment somehow, right? But I might have. So now the first thing I've got to do is I need at least one environment variable that I can count on. It's always going to be there, always available for me in the same place directory as this file. Okay, now that I'm relying on. Now notice this first line. Push d percent legal dp0. Now the reason I have to do this instead of I could say c.bat, okay, because I know it's bat. But if I didn't know it was c.bat, there may or may not be an environment variable called bash path, which I set way down here, already set up. Okay. However, this has the same effect. This comes out c colon slash bat slash. Okay. So now what I'd like to do is set this variable equal to this value. But the last thing I can do is set this variable equal to this value. That's no good. The reason is because I might be coming in here without having this variable set. See, if you imagine at any point that all this stuff can be wiped out. So what I need to do is make a batch file that sets this equal to this value and save that into a batch file. Sorry, I want to put the set line into a batch file. And then just call it. Now if I do that and then I call the batch file, that'll have the effect of executing this command. Now about 1,000 times I've had an extra space on these things, and that ruins everything. Cannot have an extra space here, and it's very hard to find out when you've done that. Okay, well I know at least if it was the first time coming in here, that's certainly going to be okay. Second, any other time coming in here, that still should be okay. So why can't I just, why do I need to make a batch file and then call the batch file? Why is that? Because the reason is I don't know how it comes about, but the reason is because this ends up being blank. So this line fails. I'd see myself struggling over trying to figure out why. Um, why I have to have this line, like this here. Well, in fact, it's not. It's not that I can't do this. I could call this set, okay, and that would set this certainly set this variable. But I also need to save that setting into a batch file because I'm about to wipe out the entire environment. Okay, so it just doesn't make any difference. I could set it, and then make the batch file, or make the batch file and call the batch file. That has the same effect. And the reason, so the reason for doing it here, doing this here, is for the reason of creating this batch file. Now, one thing you might think, is that, well, why don't I just check to see if this batch file already exists? Whoops. Now, luckily, I'll change. That's another thing I'm going to add to my new edit program, undo. The reason is, suppose I go and change to a different user, and then click on a little box here. That's going to come in here again. Now, this here currently would be pointing at the user profile of Alan, right? So this batch file is no good anymore. So I got to make a new one for another user that might want to use this batch file, right? And then wipe it out and restore, so on and so forth. So that's there's no reason why I can't just do this set. I can do it, but I've definitely got to make this batch file for the restoration part, and it makes no difference doing it this way or the other way. So I'm going to do it this way. Okay. Alright, well, at least we know that the batch file. Make a batch file that does it, and then call it. That's good enough, right? That'll certainly do the same thing. Okay, now this RT, this is the link. This is my link to reality. It must not disappear. Okay, now I can check to see if that path exists, and then make that. Oh dear, my goodness. See, I've already got a bug. That's okay for me, user Alan, who doesn't have any spaces in his name. But do you think that's going to work for our friend Cursor God? Bet your life it's not going to work. So if not exists, it should be okay now. Make directory in the temp document. Alright. Now, if not exists, this is the original environment. Now there's only one original environment ever, right, for my system, unless I actually make a global system change. So I should never have to do this twice. So if it exists, I'm not going to overwrite and make a new one. I'm just going to, first time I don't see it, I'm going to call a batch file I've called save n, which takes an argument, and then I'm going to make it read only. That's going to be in my temp document. Okay, now that, where is that? Where's Alan when I want it? When I don't want it. Temp. Type. Okay. No, actually read only. Okay. So this, as long as this environment variable has been restored, or created or restored or whatever, this should say call save and for once and for all the original environment, and here it is. And let's see, now what's the date on that? Time 4:55 on the 10th. Well, I can't be. Oh, AM. So that's pretty old. Now this is a batch file that should restore the original environment. And it does. You can see that there's not much in here. And look at the path. There's hardly anything. Okay. Now why those are in uppercase is anybody's guess. But they are. Probably my fault when I was playing with the uppercase thing. Yeah, I could put this ahead of that. Anyway, doesn't matter. That's what it was. That's what it was. Now I call this wipe env. This is where the danger begins. Now this is going to wipe out every single environment variable, including path and everything. Prompt. One environment variable is called prompt, if you didn't know. And let's see, we'll make a box here. See that? Prompt. $P means path, and $G means greater than sign. So path and greater than. If I set that to something else, what else could I put in? There's my prompt. Okay? It doesn't tell me what directory I'm in anymore. So I wouldn't know if I changed to another directory. I don't know where I am. I can echo CD. And that would tell me. I definitely want the path. I could have Coolio in front of that. I don't have to have it greater than. I could have maybe L is a less than sign. Yeah, it is. There's a good path. At least it's telling me something. One of the things that that's may be useful is that one of the environment variables close. One of them tells you your push D, pop D depth. There we go. Fixed. Okay, so now that means that at the end of this wipe.end, there isn't even a prompt to hang on to. Okay, now of course, all this was working great until I went to try it with a different user that had spaces in their name. So their my temp documents directory had spaces, so I needed to put quotes on all of these. And then when you use quotes, then all the for things stopped working. So you gotta put special magic words in so that the for command works. It doesn't interpret this as a string literal, but as a path instead. Blah blah blah. But anyway, what does it do? First, it does set. Now set just echoes out all the environment variables with environment variables. And this is how we've seen. There's a bigger box. Come on, big box. See? And includes the equal sign and everything. So you could take this, the output of set, and turn that into a batch file by just putting the word set and a space in front of each of these lines, and making damn sure that there's no space at the end here. Because the way to clear an environment variable, well, to set or do anything with an environment variable, the thing that you don't see is that if there's a space following any one of these things, that's included. You know, it doesn't trim spaces. So if I set this to C users Allen space, then all my path, if I try to use this path again, it'll be no good because that space is there. The next thing will be space and then slash and so on. And that caught me quite a lot. Alright, so we type set, send it off into the temporary documents directory, and call that endcur .ba underscore. Now, deleting a file that may already be there. Now I'm going to walk through the file that I just created. Okay, and that's what this /f does. Now normally /f interprets this as a string, the literal string parts, if there are double quotes around it. But in a particular case where your path has spaces, that's not going to work because you need to put quotations around things with spaces in it. So I got to put quotes, and that turns this into a string literal. So I got to tell it not to treat that as a string literal, but to treat that as a quoted file name. And that's what this flag does. That means use backwards quotations instead of forwards quotations. Flip the meaning of quotations. So that allows you to do this trickery. Now the delimiters in this case, in the file, for each line, well, each line has two elements. It has a variable name equals something, right? It's the output of the set command. Variable name equals and then value. So that means that each line, you could think of it as being two tokens delimited by an equal sign, one or more equal signs. Now, if there are more than one equal sign, you would run into trouble with this, but there never should be, certainly in this case. Now we want to walk through that file, and I don't care about I'm trying to wipe everything out, so I want to take the left-hand side and echo source root equals, and then nothing, no spaces. That got me a lot of time. Okay, so for each line, I want to append to this file I just deleted, set left-hand side equal, and then nothing. Append all that to that file, and then delete the temporary that I used to build up there. And now I'm going to call that file. Now at this point, there isn't a single environment variable. No environment variables at all. And you see, because if I want to restore the environment variables, I got to get rid of the ones that I already added. I may not have added any, but if I call this again, I will have. Alright, so I wipe them out. Now I call I'm calling my link back to reality. Okay, they can get me back to my home directory and the temp directory where I've stored the original environment. I call this batch file again. Now that resets this back to what I had set it to up here. I call this, and now I restore the original environment. And now I should be, if this were the first time I ever ran this, basically I've accomplished 0. But if it's the second time I've run this, then it's brought me back to the initial state. And do whatever I normally do. Okay. Now, I want to launch that program, Developer Studio. First, I would never be calling that if the environment wasn't already set up, so I can trust that this is a valid value. Now, I'm calling that save environment batch file. I don't know if they even showed you that. Now this is a batch file which saves the current environment to some specified name in the magic directory. So first check to see if there's an argument. You can also view it if you do /v first. Okay. Now this should have already happened, but okay, I moved that earlier on. This is now in aent.bat, so I don't need this line anymore. I'm going to get rid of things I don't need. It's complicated enough as it is. So save end. Set again into %1. This is essentially like that wipe thing. First, we say we're building a batch file which has the effect of restoring the current, whatever, the current environment. Now I'm deleting whatever might have been there before with the name that I'm trying to build. Again, I need to change the meaning of quotation marks in order to walk through this temporary file and not have this interpreted as a literal string. And now I want to say set %i. Now %i in this case is an entire line. You see, there are no delimiters here, so spaces don't delimit. So, like this. This is %I. Blah, 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 blah equals blah, blah, blah. And now I gotta make sure I don't put a space at the end here. It got me too many times. And append that to %1 is the one I just deleted. Delete the temporary, and then we're done. This doesn't alter the environment at all. This one just saves the environment. Okay. That's easy enough. I'll wipe out the environment. Now I've got to get, I got my, I've got to have this available. And now, oh, that's why. I've got to do that again. Just like in ANT.bat. You see, the thing that you don't realize is that I might have switched users in the meantime, right? So I might, the batch file there might, to get my handle to my home directory's temp documents, might be wrong. It might be pointing to another user's temp documents. So I've got to rebuild that batch file again before I call it, after wiping out the environment. Now I can restore the original environment, run the program, then restore my original environment. Pop D takes me back to where I originally was, and I should be fine. And if you don't think that's complicated, you're a genius. Because if there's the thing that's going on that's making it difficult is the fact that there's more than one user involved here. Right? If I go and run this as another user, run that same batch file as another user, it's got to work as well. Right? And if I run it again as this user, it's got to work as well. And there are various cases that you don't think of. The problem of the quotations, right? The problem that there might be spaces. Anyway, okay. Well, okay. I'm gonna put this. So I'll put this under my batch tutorial, and then I'm gonna go on and we're gonna make that program.